Coco Gauff puts her money where her mouth is, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, she delivers in the clutch. As always, this video is brought to you via the Doctrine of Fair Use, the Fair Dealing, and the Digital Millennium Act. That's right, guys. You see the title. Coco Gauff makes history again. Coco Gauff has donated $100,000 to the United Negro College Fund. That's right, guys. If you are an American, especially an African American, you are aware of the United Negro College Fund. It's a huge fund. It supports over 50,000 students at nearly 1,100 universities, helping them pay for tuition. And Coco delivers in the clutch. Now, in America, guys, and we're just going to take a break. There's a lot of amazing tennis tournaments going on right now, but we're going to take a break from that and just talk some real life situations here. So a lot of people that listen to the channel, they do not live in the United States, and I appreciate the love and support worldwide. I check the analytics, and yeah, I have listeners all over the world. And right now we have a new president, right? We have a new administration, and they are doing a lot of radical things that we've never seen done before. Now, not to say that life has been great and peachy in this country for African Americans. You know, for the most part, African Americans just got the right to vote in the civil rights era, the 1960s. So there's been a lot, especially when we factor in the wealth of the African community. Excuse me, guys. I'm a little excited here to touch upon this topic. But a lot of people aren't familiar that in terms of African American wealth in this country, African Americans actually retained, when it comes to the dollar, they retained more money for savings towards wealth building in the late 1800s than they actually do now. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. So in terms of the disparities, there's a lot that go on, and a lot of that has to do with financial literacy, education. So Coco Gauff has contributed 6 figures to the United Negro College Fund to help make someone's life a little bit better. And amazing job she did indeed, because this new administration, like I said, they're doing some radical things. We are seeing them literally take away a lot of the affirmative action benefits, a lot of the things that kind of make it a little more level playing field. You know, a lot of the inclusion, a lot of the diversity laws that kind of help make the workplace more fair and balanced. They're gone. You know, there's actually many government sectors that have been instructed to not celebrate Black History Month. That's pretty radical. It's pretty extreme, because it's like ignoring all of the things that have gone on in this country that have set people back. You know, there's only been one race in this country that had to deal with, you know, racial disparities, you know, Jim Crow laws, different laws preventing wealth building. And, you know, a lot of people, they're not aware that, you know, going back to the 18th and early 19th centuries, the most successful communities were the African American communities. You know, they stuck together, they saved their money, they pooled their money together, and they stacked resources. You know, there's been reportedly hundreds of Black civilizations in this country that have been burned down and terrorized and destroyed. And, you know, it's estimated that if Black Wall Street alone, if you guys have heard of that, you know, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but if that were never destroyed and burned down and ruined, that it would actually, the economy that generated the revenue, that entire community would be worth more in terms of an annual per capita income than most countries in the world. And actually, you know, this economy here, you know, our budget is about, I don't know, a ballpark, maybe 11 trillion. It's estimated that Black Wall Street would be nearly as strong as that. You know, we're talking trillions of dollars. So, and a lot of these communities have been destroyed over time, and different laws and, you know, Jim Crow laws, redlining, you know, discrimination, segregation. A lot of these institutionalized things have destroyed these communities, and it's very tough to act like it's never happened and still doesn't exist. So education is key, but that's also another topic where, you know, when you're talking about poverty and low income households, you can't afford to go to the best schools. So we're seeing this administration as well. They're doing a lot of things like they are taking funds that are intended to help public schools and provide resources for low income families. And they're wanting to kind of take these funds and kind of spread it out to private schools. Essentially, you have to read the educational bill. It's very confusing, but that's what I understand this bill to be. As we're taking resources from public schools, we're downsizing, we're giving, the administration states they want to give students the opportunity to choose their schools. But again, that's more of a privatized approach because you have the counselors, the teachers, and you have an enrollment process that can be selective. It can be discriminatory. So it's not that easy for someone that's in a low income neighborhood to say, hey, I want to go to this wealthy school across town. Well, one, you have to get there. There's not going to be any buses that take you there. So it's when you take resources and then, it's so much that goes into that. And then there's the opportunity for discrimination. I don't want this person in this school. This person's not a good fit for this school. So it's not that easy. So when you see policies like this, and this is my opinion, it's easy to discriminate. And those funds will be distributed to a lot of these schools that, can be selective in who they help attend. While the low income schools that need the money, they're going to lose the funding. And I think there's a lot more ways to fix some of these issues than that. You could hold teachers or, there's different things you can do. You can hold teachers accountable. You can make smaller classrooms. You could change the curriculum. There's a lot that you can do instead of just taking funds and, rerouting the funds and then, presenting this falsehood that parents and students have the opportunity to choose the school they want to go to, because you really don't. There's a lot that goes into that. Schedules, parents, do they work? Who's going to pick them up? Who's going to drop the kid off? Is there a bus route? There's a lot that goes into that. And I think it's masking the real issues and it's solving the real issues. But education is key. And Coco Gauff donates $100,000 to the United Negro College Fund, an amazing organization. But a lot of you may not realize that the ATA, the African American Tennis Association, that's the oldest professional sports league. It's the oldest sports organization for African Americans in this country. Now, they recently, you may have noticed that they go by the American Tennis Association now. So a little bit of rebranding there. And again, that seems to be the theme with this new administration is, to get away from diversity, to get away from inclusion, and to just kind of act like these things don't exist. But, some big names like Arthur Ashe, Althea Gibson, those are products of, the ATA. These are people that have played in the league. And if you're familiar with the ATA, much like the United Negro College Fund, they, for the most part, service a lot of HBCUs. Well, the ATA, the African American Tennis Association, they got their start at HBCUs, the DC area, the nation's capital, all these historic schools down there, and players like Robin Montgomery, Coco's bestie, Junior Slam champ, right? Very big in that area. And it's a very historic area when we're talking about tennis. And to see what Coco's doing to help the cause, it's just simply amazing. Now, when Coco won DC, the Citibank Open, the WTA actually decided to write $1 million check to help fund these local communities and players of color and players that don't have the resources to play tennis. Help, just kind of like, you guys ever seen the movie King Richard? Serena and Venus, their take on their upcoming, their upbringing with their father, Richard. Amazing. Now the story is based upon the family. But if you take a look closely at the courts they played on in Compton, California, it was horrible. destroyed concrete, the nets, used balls. It was just run down. So Coco winning the Citibank Open, and again, Madison Keys winning the Australian Open. Again, the WTA is committed to, and Madison Keys has her own foundation as well. So these ladies are doing a lot of amazing things for players that want to play tennis but can't afford it. But yeah, the WTA did a great cause when Coco won DC, donated a lot of funds to help the cause. But again, Coco Gauff is simply amazing. Every day there's a new story that comes out of the amazing things that she does. But with so much going on in this country, it's good to see players like Coco that just hasn't forgot her roots. And she talks about her family's deeply rooted in HBCUs. So it's good that she's staying true to her roots, and she's just not forgetting where she came from. She's an amazing woman and very classy. And again, in this country, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of political stuff going on in this country. This is not a political channel, but people need to understand, that this country is going through a change, and I think the world is watching, and we're seeing a lot of, Cocos from Florida. You saw Ron DeSantis. He took away, African-American studies. That's something he wanted to change and remove from the curriculum. And, we're seeing Trump, with these similar types of policies. And Coco stood up for that. She's like, how can you remove, this doesn't happen to other people. How can you remove a demographics history curriculum that's teaching things, and I think it's pretty sad. It's a state of the world we live in, and it's also a message and a sign that things aren't perfect. We still have a lot more work to do. And I think it's going to come down to the people with influence and power to really speak up, make a difference. And again, not every battle's for everyone. Coco's job is to play tennis. She's doing what she can do off the court, and that's fine, But I do think that it will take, some of the people with influence reaching out, sticking out a hand and say, look, let's work together. Let's understand, because a lot of times people just don't understand. They're naive to the facts, or the issues, and the causes for concern. So it could be an ignorance level where people just don't understand it, or it could be deliberate. But I think it's going to take some working together to bring awareness and let people know that things aren't all that good. We still have a lot more work to do. And there are people that they're just not afforded a quality education in this country. And the fact that Coco's showing the money is simply amazing. Thank you, guys. I'm your host, Good Energy. Like the video, show some love. We'll be right back. Coco Gauff, guys, puts her money. You guys are going to get the new Cocos. She puts her money where her mouth is. We're going to talk some tennis as well. Simona Halep retires. That's a big story I want to talk about. I also want to talk about Romania as well. That's a good draw. Cluj-Napoca. I want to talk about Abu Dhabi as well. Ange is looking good. She takes out the number 7 seed. Paula Badosa in trouble today. Could she survive? Belinda Bencic. A lot of good matches. We'll be back, guys. Like the video. See you soon.